Good afternoon, I'm Milton Walker with the Midday News. A special welcome if you are watching on onespotmedia.com. Principal of the Gregory Park Primary School in St. Catherine, Richard Williams, wants the Education Ministry to revisit the security arrangements in schools. His suggestion follows an incident where a parent threatened several teachers at the school this morning. The details in this report.
It was not a usual Thursday morning when principal of the Gregory Park Primary School, Richard Williams, turned up for work. Mr. Williams was greeted with a commotion on the school's compound which involved an angry parent. It's understood that the parent went to the institution trying to identify a child his son had an altercation with.
I asked him what's the matter and he told me that he came because he would have used a stick to batter one teacher. I said, no. So I jumped out of the car, left the engine running, and I asked him to just hand over the stick. He refused. So I said, come this side, let's move away from the students and see if we can talk. Let me find out what really happened.
Mr. Williams says he's concerned about the frequency at which teachers at the institution are faced with hostile situations while on the job.
The Gregory Park community is really a volatile community. And that's one of the issues that we as teachers are looking to engage in the ministry to see how best our teachers can get some volatility on their lives, because it is not the first time it has happened. We have been having them recently, and I think the general population is in a different mode because it is happening at many schools across the island, and we're concerned.
Therefore, he wants the Education Ministry to revisit the security measures in schools.
We will prepare our critical incident report. We will be submitting same to the school board and the ministry, and we would want for them to have a meeting with us so we can look at our security strategies going forward, as well as to ensure that we have a meeting with the parents, the community, the police, and other stakeholders, including the member of parliament, the council, the education officers, just to look at how best as a community we can improve.
Anthony Lugg, TVJ News.
9 people were shot dead across 6 police divisions between yesterday afternoon and early this morning. The killings include a double murder on Whitehall Avenue in the St. Andrew North Division. That occurred about 11:30 p.m. The deceased have been identified as 19-year-old shopkeeper David Johnson of Whitehall Avenue and 20-year-old carpenter Shamirie Anderson of Carlisle Avenue. Meanwhile, 43-year-old man Glenroy Ellington was killed and his 2-year-old son shot and injured at Darlington Drive in Old Harbour, St. Catherine shortly after midnight. The other murders took place in Clarendon, Kingston Central, St. Andrew South, St. Catherine North and St. Catherine South police divisions. 2 men are dead following a police operation in St. James yesterday afternoon. TVJ's Prince Moore reports.
Yellow tape and police vehicles tell the all too familiar story that something has gone wrong. TVJ News has been informed that sometime in the afternoon on Wednesday, the St. James Police was carrying out an operation in Mud Valley when they came under heavy gunfire. The police fired back. Following the trading of bullets, all 3 men were seen suffering from gunshot wounds. They were subsequently taken to the Cornwall Regional Hospital, where 2 of them succumbed to their injuries. Their identities are not yet known. The 3rd individual is still in hospital under police guard. It's also understood that 2 firearms, including ammunition, were recovered from the scene. The Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, is investigating. In the meantime, Mayor of Montego Bay, Homer Davis, is calling for a further extension of the state of emergency in the parish. The current state of emergency is expected to end in April. He also sought to address comments by the opposition and others who say the state of emergency in the parish is not working.
I don't think that it is fair to say that the SOE is not working. The men and women who have been putting their lives on the line out there daily for the security of this parish. And I know they do it with the full commitment to protect and to serve the people of St. James.
Prince Moore, TVJ News.
The number of violent and serious crimes in St. Mary is on the decline. Head of the St. Mary Police Division, Superintendent Bobbett Morgan Simpson, says there were 4 murders committed in the parish so far this year, most of which were related to conflicts and domestic violence.
We have a number of justices of the peace, some might even be in this room. we need to be reaching out more to the community in terms of mediation and the need for utilizing the Justice Center and the other areas that are available for quelling the disputes and intervening before it becomes all-out criminal.
Between January and February last year, there were 3 incidents of shooting in the parish compared to 2 this year. There were no reports of rape in 2019, but the parish has recorded 2 cases so far this year. Aggravated assault has seen an increase this year with 2 cases compared with 1 last year, while there was a decrease in robberies with 1 compared to 7 in the corresponding period in 2019. Superintendent Morgan Simpson also noted that while the parish has seen a reduction in major crimes, the shortage of police personnel is a challenge.
For whatever assistance we can get from the public in terms of our crime fighting efforts in telling us what is going on or going to Crime Stop so that the information can be filtered down to us or through whatever means necessary to bring the situation to quote-unquote tolerable level.
A new timeline has been given for the construction of another maximum security prison in Jamaica. It's been pushed back to another 18 months. Speaking yesterday on Beyond the Headlines, National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang stated that preliminary plans are now advanced.
We have looked at it, the land, we have identified land which we have acquired. We have looked at the ways of financing it, but it would not be on this year's budget. We are still completing the rehabilitation of police stations, building up some new ones. But the new prison that was articulated by the Minister Montague will have to come down the road. I think next year we can conclude the planning on financial arrangements. You wouldn't start construction until maybe Q4 of the following year. Not this financial year, which is 2021, but 2022, 23.
So you're saying in about 2 years it would be realistic to say construction start on a new prison?
Yeah, about 18 months.
And it's now time for a break on Midday News. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back. Continuing the news. The St. Catherine Public Health Department is threatening to take enforcement action against the National Water Commission, NWC, if a long-standing sewage problem in Greater Portmore is not urgently rectified. Chief Public Health Officer for the parish, Grayson Hutchinson, said the agency's sewage pond, which is not being maintained, is affecting residents.
The sewage ponds are presently colonized with water lilies and are breeding mosquitoes extensively. The department has fogged institutions and communities in Portmore, but our efforts have been nullified. Our efforts have been largely ineffective due to the excessive breeding of mosquitoes in the ponds.
Johnson said several notices have been issued to the NWC to resolve the issue. He was speaking at a recent St. Catherine Municipal Corporation meeting.
A notice was served on the company to remove excessive overgrowth of water lilies within a specified period of time and maintain the ponds in a satisfactory manner. A notice was also served on the company to abate the overflow of sewage from manholes at Cherry Gardens sewage treatment plant.
A legal framework is needed to address aspects of Jamaica's public health system. That's according to Public Defender Arlene Harrison Henry, who was speaking at the launch of the Know Your Rights media campaign in St. Andrew yesterday. Mrs. Harrison Henry says the right to health should be properly placed in the Jamaican Constitution. The Public Defender believes that it's a discussion that needs to be had.
The way the courts have interpreted that right is within the context of what is available within the resources of a country. So there are limitations even in terms of the legal interpretation of it. But I think it is one of the rights that we need to have recognized.
Meanwhile, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says $50 million will be spent over the next few years to support the digitization of the country's health records. Dr. Tufton said this is part of the Health Information System renewal under the Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, which is also supported by the European Union. Dr. Tufton was speaking at the launch of the Know Your Rights media campaign yesterday. A woman is in hospital and a taxi operator injured after he crashed into an open manhole along the newly paved Hagley Park Road. Clement Escoffret told our news team that manholes along the Hagley Park Road have caused a number of accidents. The owner of the vehicle contacted the National Works Agency, NWA, early this week for assistance, but there were no show.
And coming up behind the coaster and reach up by this record place here and things like that, when I see the cover just have a little slant tilt line, the coaster go over it, and with time me reach up to it and things like that, the blood blows loose. It mash up the whole of my car. Right now my neck killed me. One day they gone to hospital.
When TVJ News contacted communications manager at the National Works Agency, Stephen Shaw, about the incident, he said he was not aware. Mr. Shaw added that further checks will be done.
All right, so I personally was not contacted about any accident. I don't know if anyone at the NWA has been contacted. That is something that I'll have to find out. If such a communication was done between any officer from the NWA and the individual involved.
However, Mr. Shaw suggested that the owner of the vehicle will have to make a legal claim if he's to receive any compensation.
The person received property damage along the road, and they are contending that the damage was caused by a defective manhole. Then it is for them to put together an appropriate claim with the evidence that they have and submit same to the NWA through the legal department.
In sports, a new quarterly awards and incentive scheme for 4 of the occupational groups at the Caymanas Park has been introduced by the promoting company Supreme Ventures Racing and Entertainment Limited. The announcement was made at a press launch at Caymanas Park yesterday.
The January to March quarter will be known as the opening meet and will carry a total of 19 race days. The classic meet quarter goes from April to June with 21 race meets listed. July to September will form the summer meet of 19 race days, while the final quarter, the championship meet, also has 19 race days between October and December. Under this new initiative, the trainers have been divided into 2 categories, as those having a stable size of more than 30 horses and saddling the most winners in a quarter will be eligible for a cash prize of $300,000. The trainer saddling the most winners in each quarter and having less than 30 horses in his stable will earn $250,000. The owner with the most wins in each quarter will pocket $400,000, while the top jockey for each quarter is set to receive $150,000 and the top groom $100,000. Chairman of SVREL, Solomon Sharp, says the new scheme is designed to recognize and reward consistency among the horsemen.
For years, our trainers' championships, owners' championships, etc., have decided on purse. So you might have a horse winning a derby, and a horse wins a derby. Certainly it was good for Mr. Bernard with Wawa winning the championship and all that kind of thing. But what happens to Mr. Watson, who broke the record for wins? So how do we incentivize Mr. Watson? How do we even incentivize Mr. Micros, who continues to invest in racing? So when these people invest, when these people put out, when these people support the card, we believe in consistency, so we believe in rewards and incentives.
Meanwhile, details were also announced for the Champions Race Day and Awards on the February 26 Ash Wednesday program, where some of the races on the card will be named after some of the top performers for 2019. 9 of the races on